For about 8 months now, I've been uncovering information which was first exposed to me through Robert Menard at thinkfree.ca. That's what piqued my interest. I watched his movies. You can watch them online. Bursting Bubbles of Government Deception is one. I forget them all. Anyways, he puts out good information, but I had some questions about some of it, and I encountered some other people who were researching this issue, and I spend about 5 hours every Thursday night with this group of individuals, and we're all researching this information and compiling our knowledge together and sharing what we discover, and we've realized that this information has to get out and that we have to share it with people. And it's difficult to digest and process because it conflicts with everything that we've been taught and everything that we've learned through our lives so far. And sometimes I feel like the top of my head is just blowing wide open, but I'm processing and digesting the information as best I can. I think first I should start with words. As a lot of people may have discovered, we've been lied to about everything. And words are important. The words we use are important. And a good thing to have is a Black's Law dictionary. It's about this thick. This is the dictionary that the lawyers use, and it has legal definitions of words in it. And when you use it to look up words, you find out really interesting stuff. Person, the word person. The definition of person is a corporate fiction. Black's Law also tells us that the only person known to Canadian law is the corporation. And that's interesting. Human is another interesting word. It appears nowhere in the Bible, but you look up the definition of human in Black's Law, and it says sea monster. And so you flip to monster, and you look up the definition for monster, and it says one that cannot own or inherit property. Now, all governments have human resource departments, and all corporations have human resource departments. Isn't that interesting? Job is another interesting definition. Job is defined as public business for private dishonest gain, is the definition of job. And then we look at employ, the root word of employment, right? Well, employ is two words basically, E-M, which means for. Employ is deceit. So employ is for deceit. Employment, it's for deceit. And job is official, that's it. Job is official public business for private dishonest gain. Now, where are we going with all these definitions? Because they sound kind of bad to me. Those words, now that I know what they really mean, those words don't sound good. They sound bad to me. Well, we know that to get a job, you need a SIN. You need a social insurance number, or you can't get a job. You can't be employed. Well, now that I know what a job means, and now that I know what employ means, I don't really know if I want either of those things. But I've been spending some time on this journey acquiring documents, legal documents, from the Registrar General. Registrar General, doesn't that sound like military? That doesn't sound too good to me. To understand what's gone on with the social insurance, Woodrow Wilson, as you may know, for any of you who have done any research into the Federal Reserve, the central bankers, and the fiat currency system that we've been enslaved into, you'll know that Woodrow Wilson is the president who signed into law the Federal Reserve Act. And you may already know that the Federal Reserve is a private corporation. It's not federal. It has no reserves. It's a private corporation owned by offshore bankers. It's an offshore company that prints paper out of thin air. And that paper represents debt. It doesn't represent wealth, but we use it as a medium of exchange. There's a hidden lien attached to all Federal Reserve notes. And make no mistake, the Bank of Canada is the 13th Federal Reserve Bank. And we use Federal Reserve notes. And there's hidden liens attached to each of them. Now, if I sell you a car and there's a bank lien against that car, well, the bank can come and take that car from you, even though you paid me for it, because there was a lien which I hid from you. There's a hidden lien, so it can be taken from you, even though you paid for it. And so if you've paid for your home and you're a yuppie and you have a nice $1 million home and it's all paid for and you think this is my house, well, it's not yours. In fact, anything that can be taken from you is not yours to begin with. And if you refuse to pay property tax that someone claims you owe them, and as a result they can come and take your property away from you, it wasn't yours to begin with, was it? Getting back to Woodrow Wilson, his handler, the monarchy runs everything. All Commonwealth nations, Canada, the United States, Australia, England, the monarchy is what runs them all. We're not free here in Canada, nor are they in the States. Now, there was a man named Edward Mandell House, and he was Woodrow Wilson's handler. House was an Englishman. Actually, the Earl of Grey was his handler. Anyways, they had to put the Federal Reserve Act through in 1913 before the United States could enter into the First World War. The bankers wanted to fund America, incur debt and interest, and so they had to foment a condition whereby the United States would enter the First World War. But first they had to have the Federal Reserve Act through. So they ran that through in 1913. Now the official reason why the United States entered the First World War was the sinking of the Lusitania. You just need to watch The Money Masters by William Still and you'll find out the history of all this. The sinking of the Lusitania was orchestrated by Mandell House. He's not a nice guy. And here's what he had to say in a private meeting with Woodrow Wilson. Very soon, every American will be required to register their biological property. Let's back up for a moment first.